Let's see. At Destiny, good morning. Britain did a poll about whether multiculturalism is working, and 95% of respondents said no. Most people in all European countries think they have taken in too many migrants. Okay, if the population is against it and the migrants are illegally coming into the country, is illegal immigration into European countries a huge problem? Is it illegal immigrants that are a huge problem? I thought it was like the 2013 Syrian refugee crisis that increased it a ton. I don't know. I'd have to go and look. Isn't it accurate to label it as an invasion? No, invasions are usually things done by like other countries. A bunch of people coming to your country, you wouldn't typically call an invasion. Also, if the majority of people in a country don't want it and their leadership go ahead with it anyway, how can it be called a democracy? Because chances are the majority of your people in your country do want it. They just don't understand it, or they don't understand the policies that they're voting on or what they're actually asking for. When you ask somebody like, do you like multiculturalism? Most people hear multiculturalism as a retarded buzzword, and they start like voting yay or nay based on that. But if you start like running down policies for seasonal workers or for importing like certain goods or services or whatever, then people are like, oh no, I like this. Oh no, I like this. Oh no, I like this. I don't know. Multiculturalism is what a bizarre fucking concept to be for or against. Like that's like saying like, are you for or against economy? Like, okay, this is literally the opposite of your take for voting shit. What did I just say that you think is the opposite of my take for voting shit? What? And yet another topic Destiny has no knowledge on, immigration good. That's like literally the fucking orthodox opinion throughout all of the history of all of fucking economics. Yes, you retarded fuck. Immigration is always going to be good for your economy. Just as a virtue of the fact that like increasing supply of workers and increasing demand for goods and services is almost domestically always going to increase your economy. Now, are there other effects that could be negatively affected? Sure. Could it like increase like crime or cause political division? Sure, of course. But like on an economic side, obviously, so, like labor is one of your largest inputs to your economic prosperity. So of course, increasing supply of workers is almost, and immigrants tend to be people that are your workers. They tend to be younger. They tend to be more active in the workforce. They tend to be, depending on where you're at, they could be more male. So they were like, yeah, it's just, yeah, you can be anti-immigration if you want to be without being a fantastic moron that lives in denial of what immigration does. Not illegal immigration at all. Even illegal immigration tends to have neutral fiscal benefits and will also have like, I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't help you. I don't understand. You, in your mind, the economy is like a moral thing that is like a byproduct of the morality of your society. It's not, you retard, right? Economics, your economy will grow if you increase a lot of the inputs to the economy and you can handle the inputs. In the United States, our unemployment right now is like 3.3%. If you shipped in 50 million illegal immigrants, it would probably be a massive boon, very helpful for the economy. That doesn't mean it's all good, and it doesn't mean we should do it. But to try to like live in La La Land, we're like, yeah, immigration is actually bad for everything. You sound like a fucking retard because you are a fucking retard. Yeah, no, there isn't any context to this. Immigration is just good in general, am I right? It doesn't reduce the value of labor. Corporations don't pay 0% tax on their labor compared to hiring Canadians. Epic argument, bro. Labor should actually be infinite. I think that, you know what, bro? You should have it so minimum wage is $700 an hour, bro. Because apparently labor costs going down is always bad and horrible. Therefore, it should just be as high as possible. You should make labor $50 billion an hour. You're so smart. Have you messed with the heads-up display for any cars? It's so game-changing. The only heads-up display I like for cars is when your mom displays her up ass when she's giving me head in my car. How many immigrants have you hired? Why don't you pay your workers minimum wage? First of all, why are you even talking to me? Am I getting baited by YouTube chat? How many immigrants have I hired? Well, let's see. My personal assistant is from France. My YouTube manager, I think, is an Asian guy that lives in Australia. Karantos is a Somalian that goes to school in Malaysia. Forethought is our DEI affirmative action hire. Like, what do you mean? Probably like half my workforce is like from either other countries or are immigrants. Well, like, but I don't hire people based on their whatever bullshit. I just hire people who do the work well. And my average wages, I think, are like anywhere from 40 to 50 an hour based on the amount of work that I expect. How serious are you about rebranding as Steven instead of Destiny? You keep sort of mentioning it, but is there an actual plan? No, I just like to be called Steven in a serious setting, but I don't think I need to rebrand or anything. I think Destiny is fine. I think you guys worry about shit more than anything else. Like, it doesn't actually have an impact on this. Like, I see people in the subreddit post like, Destiny needs to improve his background so he doesn't look like a gamer because people aren't going to take him seriously. I think that you guys think that people value certain things way more than they actually do. Even when it comes to things like appearance. Like I read so much feedback and comments about me. I don't know if I've ever seen a comment ever, even when I'm looking super messy, about like, oh, I don't take this guy serious because his hair, blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a comment like that. Usually it's like, cuck, lover, Gusano, genocide apologist. It's like all like stuff related to lore me and shit. I don't think, I just don't think it matters anywhere near as much as people seem to think it does. I'm also curious because of your occasional quips. Yeah, I mean, the branding on Destiny is really good too. It's just so easy to, like, it's a good noun. It just works. Yeah. It's not about what people say, but about what they subconsciously think of you. If you dress poorly, then they will have a worse first impression, which will taint your entire appearance. You know what? I actually don't think first impressions matter at all. One thing that I've learned in life is I think first impressions are mainly worthless. I think that your final impression is always the most important thing. We talked about all this a little bit from like the dating aspect, that if you could choose between like starting a date strong versus ending a date strong, you always want to end a date. You always want to end a date strong. First impressions are so easy to overcome and override. The final impression you leave on somebody can like determine their final thoughts about you, I think. First impressions wouldn't be a reliable means to learn about someone's nature because everyone is going to try to look good in their first impression, right? If I had to guess for why people think first impressions matter, it's because that's the first time you see a bunch of things that do matter. But they don't matter because they're first impressions. They just matter because they're things that you'll likely see the first time that you meet somebody. So for instance, when I say like first impressions don't matter, somebody might think like, oh, so you don't think it matters if you show up on time? Showing up on time to something is incredibly important. But that doesn't have to do with making a first impression. It's just being on time to stuff is important for a lot of people, unless you live in California. So that's not like a first impression thing. It's just a being on time thing. Or if somebody talks about like your appearance, like, oh, well, you know, if you look like really slobbly and blah, 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 and somebody sees you, the first impression is gonna be really bad. No, that's the entire impression because you're gonna look the same from start to finish. The entire impression they get is that your appearance looks like disheveled or whatever, you know? So it's not just a first impression thing. It's like this is just a thing that people notice about you, you know? Yeah. Also, if you're late the first time, you're late 100% of the time. If you're late the second time, you're late 50% of the time. True. I think fans adopt your destructive argument style, which is part of why we're perceived as toxic debate pedos who stand a contrarian with no real positions or whatever. You should probably work on disseminating a constructive description or a platform of omniliberalism. Things like being understanding about... Yeah, I mean, we can do that, but like, be careful. I noticed this the other day, and I started to speak out against this more. Was this to chat or was this a program I was on where it's like people are like, oh, well, Democrats are always so this or that. And it's like, oh yeah, like, well, when Fauci got the science wrong that one time, that's why nobody trusts, you know, the health establishment. And it's like, okay, well, what about when conservatives have been wrong like 50 million times? Bullshit. I don't believe that. Just like I don't believe anybody that doesn't like me because I'm a debate pedo. That's bullshit. Hassan embodies everything about an actual debate pedophile. He was literally debate a 16-year-old. If that's not debate, yeah, I don't know what is, right? Or the way that he dealt with the Willie Mack thing, or like, yeah, like these people love debate. Or look at the easiest example is the way that Finkelstein treated me in our conversation, in our debate, was just screaming at me the entire time, screaming over me the entire time, calling me names the entire time. Like, and then these are the people who are like, Destiny, people don't like you because you're too much of a debate bro sometimes. No, bullshit. That's bullshit. That's an excuse that people just use. I don't think they actually give a fuck about that.